Okay, final lesson of this unit. Perform the operation and simplify. Now this is a complex number. It has a constant and an I term. Same thing here, constant and an I term. The operation's adding. Adding's easy. Blank plus blank I. Constants 5 plus 8 is 13. 2i plus negative 3i is negative 1i. Done. Okay? We're not doing that. Okay? This operation's multiplication. When you're multiplying, you need to label how many terms you have in each quantity. You have 2 terms and 2 terms. That's the FOIL method. Okay? So 5 times 2, 5 times negative 10i, 3i times 2, and 3i times negative 10i. So that gives a product of 10, that's in simplest form. That's a product of negative 50i, that's in simplest form. That product is 6i, that's in simplest form. That product's negative 30i to the second, that is not in simplest form because I to the second is negative 1, so that's positive 30, okay? Now, blank plus blank I, so you end up with 2 constants, the 10 and the 30 makes 60. The negative 50 and the 6 add up to negative 44. There's your product. Okay, we're not doing that next one crossed off. Okay, find the quotient. Now you'd like to divide, but you can't divide with an I. Okay, so you need to multiply by an equivalent fraction. This has 2 terms, this has 1 term. If it has just 1 term, you multiply by I over I. That's simple. So you have to find the top, and you got to find the bottom. So each of these I's represent 1 term. 2, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Okay, 2 by 1 means I just take 6 times I, and then 5i times I. So that equals 6i, that equals 5, that's in simplest form. 5i to the second is not, because it's 5 times negative 1, which is negative 5. So you have negative 5 plus 6i. The denominator is just a 1 by 1, so it's just one product. 2i times I. It's 2i to the second, not in simplest form, because that's 2 times negative 1, and that's negative 2. Now it's in simplest form. Okay, I don't like the negative on the bottom. Make it positive, positive, negative. Okay, if I divide by 2 is a decimal, that's 5 over 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3i. Okay, there's your answer. Next problem. Put a 1 right there, please. You have 2 terms and 2, so now you have 2 terms on the bottom. Instead of 1, you have, see when you have 1 on the bottom, it's just I over I. But when you have 2, you need to use the conjugate method. Conjugate method is switch that to plus. If it's plus, you switch it to minus. If it's minus, you switch it to plus. So plus 7 plus 1i, and then we just copy this bottom up to the top. Okay, so it's a 2 by 2 on both the top and the bottom. A little bit long, but I'll figure it out. Okay. So FOIL, 2 by 2 is a FOIL. 8 times 7, 8 times 1i, 2i times 7, 2i times 1i, 56, 8i, 14i, 2i to the second. Okay, these are all in simplest form. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Combine your 56 and your negative 2, that makes 54. 22i. Okay, that's a 2 by 2 bottom. Some things should be canceling out though. 7 times 7, 7 times 1i, negative 1i times 7, and then negative 1i times positive 1i. So that's 49, 7i, negative 7i, negative, those are all in simplest form, and then negative 1i to the second, that's negative 1 times negative 1, which is 1. So 49 and a 1 combined to make 50, but 7 and negative 7 add to 0, they're out. There, you got rid of the I. 54 divided by 50 is a decimal, so 54 50th. Mr. Larson, would you have you reduce that to 27 25ths? I'm not going to, okay? That'd be 22 50ths I, okay, or 11 25ths. Okay, here's what we're doing today. Solving quadratic equations. Negative 3x to the second plus 4 equals 85. There's two solutions because it's to the second power. Label your A, B, and C on a quad. That's A, C, C. Guys, on ACs, you line up a wall. Okay. Don't worry about the 85. No, you don't bring everything to one side on AB. Stop minusing the 85. Okay? That's what you do on an ABC or an AB, but not on an AC. Okay? Here, I'll even write the steps for you. Okay? Because I'm sick of people taking out the 85. Last step's going to be square root. Is there a number in front of the x squared? Yep, you're going to divide by negative 3, and then you have to take out the 4. So you minus 4. Then you do the steps in that order, minus 4. You have your a's on one side, your c's on the other. Then you divide square root, not hard. Then divide negative 27. Make it plus an I. Okay, so you need to bring your I. When you have a negative under square root, the I has to be brought out. Now you look at the perfect square list. 27 falls between 25 and 36. So 27 divided by 25, decimal. Decimal. Boom. Okay. So I put divided by. And then I want to make a parentheses, just put square root times square root. You put the number you divided by and the answer you got. So it's 3 square root 3. Negative 3 square root of 3, but you got to put your I in between the number and the square root, okay? Because you have complex answers now. So 3i squared of 3, negative 3i squared of 3. Next problem, 5x to the second plus 2 equals negative 58. X equals X equals. We got A, C, and C. Okay. Okay, now I want the A's on this side, the C's on this side. Well, you got your A on that side. Move your C's on this side. That would be negative 60. Divide by your 5. You get rid of what number times self's net? Well, you got to apply the square root. Okay. Positive, make it I. You got to poke the I out when you end up with a square root negative. Okay. Now 12, not a perfect square, so does it divide by 9? No. Does it divide by 4? Yes. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So you put divided by, and then you make 2 square roots. You put 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay? So it's 2. 2 square root of 3. I want to see the I in between them. Then I write the same thing with a negative in front. Okay, negative 6x to the second plus 2 equals 218. 2 answers. Okay. A, C, C. I want the A's on one side, the C's on the other. Negative 6x squared's already there. Minus your 2. That's 216. And divide by the negative 6. takes you to negative 36. Then I square root. Okay, make it positive, bring the I out, poke the I out. Okay, so X could be a positive or a negative. Okay, don't divide. Don't use this. 36 is there. Okay, it's there. If it's there, I'm going to put goes away. Okay, 6, negative 6, I. Okay. If that is a perfect square, the square root goes away. It'd be 6i. Okay, no more square root. Okay, x to the second power plus 25 equals 0. It's an A, C, 0 doesn't get a label. I want the a's on one side, the c's on the other. 1x squared. Take your 25 over there. 0 minus 25 is negative 25. You don't have to divide by 1. You can ditch that. Now you apply the square root property of equality. Square root gets rid of the square root. Make it positive, poke the I out. 25's on there, so don't divide. You put goes away. Okay? How does it go away? Well, the square root of 25 equals 5. That's how. I. Okay. 5i, negative 5i. I need to see the i's or it's wrong. Okay. Next, 4x to the second power minus 3x plus 5 equals 0. So there's two answers. Now you got A, B, and C. Well, any A, B, C problem, we make sure we're equal to 0. Then I go apply the discriminant. If you're too lazy to do that, then that's fine. Okay, so B, negative 3 to the second. 4 is going to be 4, A of 4, and 5 is going to be 5. Negative 3 times itself is 9. Okay. 4 times 4 times 5 is going to be 80, okay? Now, you have a little interesting thing here. You have a negative in the square root. Well, that's a game changer. That means you got to use quadratic formula. You can't factor this, okay? Make it plus, poke your I out. Now, I do want you going here and dividing, please, okay? So 71 by 64, no. Nope. 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 Okay, rule 1 means you'll leave it. Now you come over here. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ac, B squared minus 4ac over 2a, over 2a, so we got 3. On the bottom, 2 times 4 is going to be 8. Now put your I square root 171, or excuse me, square root 71. Now, you cannot simplify that, okay? Here's what you do. You put 3 over 8, okay? And then the plus minus symbol, then you put I square root 71 over 8. So, one answer, you put 3/8 plus I square root 71 over 8, and then 3/8 minus I square root 71 over 8. Okay, you end up with a complex answer. Okay, next one. Well, that's A, that's B, that's C. So I do the same thing I've always done. I apply the discriminant to see which method I should use. B squared minus 4ac. So the B is negative 1, A is 7, C is 12. Negative 1 times itself is 1. Then you take 4 times 7 times 12. 336. Well, that's going to be a negative, so if it's a negative, we're poking the I out. Then when we have to poke the I out, I don't want that as a decimal. You need to divide, see if it divides by any of the perfect squares. Nope. 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 Come to 1, you leave it, okay? So opposite of B, that'd be 1, and then 2 times 7 would be 14. And then I square root 335. Now break that up. 1/14 plus or minus I square root 335 over 14. By the way, you can't divide this by this. If it's a number in a square root, it can't be divided by the bottom unless the bottom was in a square root, which is not. Okay. So the answer is 1/14 plus I square root 335 over 14, and then 1 over 14 minus I square root 335 over 14. Okay, and that is how we need to handle it when the I comes out. Okay, next one. A, B, C. Okay, equal to 0. Now go apply your discriminant. B is 4, and then A is 1, C is 5. 4 times itself is 16. 4 times 1 times 5 is 20. Okay. So that is -4. You poke the I out. So if you have to poke the I out, you have to use the quadratic formula. I don't. This is not going to be a decimal, but it still can't be factored. Okay? Guys, 4 is on the list, so make a note when it's on the list, goes away, or just or just circle it and put a Ghostbusters X through it. Okay, so it's 2I. Okay. If it's I, you still have to use quadratic formulas. So the opposite of B is -4, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. Then I put the plus minus. 2 divided by 2 is 1I. So it's -2 plus 1I and -2 minus 1I. Okay. Okay, 3x is second plus 1x plus 2 equals 0. 2 answers. ABC, make sure you're at 0. Okay, so B1, 4A is 3, C is 2. 1 times self is 1, 4 times 3 times 3 is going to be 4 times 3 times 2, excuse me. It's going to be 24. Here's why you have to do this the way we're doing it, because if you square root -23 on the calculator, it's a domain error, okay? Yeah. So you poke the I out, and that means if you have to poke the I out, you're going quadratic formula. Opposite of B, plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4AC over 2A. So plus minus, the opposite of B is -1. The square root, by the way, go to your square root and see if you can divide that by anything. I don't think you can. Nope. Nope. And nope. So you're just keeping that simplest form. So I square root 23. And then A3, 6. So negative 1, say it'd be negative 1 over 6, plus or minus, and then you just put I square root 23 over 6. Okay. Then the same thing with a minus instead of a plus. Okay. Complex roots is what those are called.